When it comes to most horror movies, I don't find them especially scary. I often joke around and say that it's because reality is a lot scarier than fiction. But the truth is that it's probably because I've seen all the tropes 1,000 times, and they've just lost all of their effect. That's not the case when it comes to scary video games, as they tend to have a whole new batch of tricks up their sleeves that sink their hooks in and never let go. And that's definitely the case when it comes to The Beast Inside, an effective new horror game set at the height of the Cold War. After just the first few chapters, I knew I was in for a terrifying ride. And, for the most part, I was right. This is the story of Adam, a CIA code cracker who is shacking up with his pregnant wife Emma in an old house that they recently inherited. The year is 1979, and Adam hopes that moving to the middle of nowhere will allow him to concentrate on his work and keep the country from suffering a nuclear strike from the Soviet Union. But as they begin to dig into the history of the property, the married couple starts to worry that there's more to the estate than meets the eye. What both Adam and the player quickly realizes is that the house used to belong to a man named Nicholas in the mid-1800s. The Beast Inside jumps between the two time periods in order to tell the parallel stories, which works to fill in the history and context of what appears to be a haunted house. But Adam isn't worried about ghosts because he fears that the Russians have sent spies to keep tabs on his work and snuff him out when the time is right. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that the two characters offer completely different types of experiences. Adam will mostly investigate during the day and work on cracking codes, while his 1867 counterpart sneaks through the mansion lighting candles and carrying a lantern. When we're not running from ghosts and solving puzzles, we'll spend a lot of time picking up matches and kerosene in a losing battle just to see. Nicholas's adventure ultimately feeds into what happens to Adam, both in subtle and obvious ways, and seeing the same environments in two different time periods is an intriguing conceit. But The Beast Inside isn't one of those horror games that plays the same note over and over, because it has a little bit of everything. Sometimes it's about ghost hunting, while other times it's about stealth missions, code cracking, first-person shooting, and just investigating the estate. We spend a lot of time navigating through caves, searching the burned-down inn, and getting to the bottom of those towers that are right next to the house. What are they doing there? Something is clearly going on, and you'll spend a lot of time both figuratively and literally in the dark, waiting to find out what happens next. Now, beyond the compelling story structure and variety, I was impressed by the intuitive interface. This may seem like an odd thing to highlight, but I love that I don't have to equip items or worry about inventory management. When you need to use a machete to cut down brush, the game pulls it out and you just start whacking away. The same is true with the flashlight and hook, which is always ready to go when the time is right. I was impressed that the developers didn't fall into the same horror traps that haunt most scary games. And it's one of the reasons why this game is so much fun to play. That said, The Beast Inside does run into a number of horror cliches that left me a little cold. This is the perfect example of a game being scarier before the big reveal. There are a number of different endings to watch here, but none of them are as effective as the initial setup. The scares that got under my skin usually happened when they were still a mystery, which is why I liked the first half of the game better than the end. It also doesn't help that the game relies a little too much on cheap jump scares, especially early on. There are certainly times when it works, but that's ultimately not what's scary about this game. But my biggest complaint involves the questionable performance. There are a lot of times when the textures just refuse to pop in, leading to a number of ugly moments throughout the good-sized quest. This is one of those things that I just had to learn to accept, but there are moments in the game where it actually hinders the puzzle solving. There's one padlock in particular where the letters wouldn't even show up until I changed the resolution. And then later on, there's a slideshow in the cabin that is so low res that there's no way to glean the important information. This is also true of most of the newspaper clippings and documents that you pick up along the way. There were a number of times when I had to turn to a walkthrough to help. Not because I couldn't figure out a specific puzzle, but rather because I couldn't even see the important information. Maybe it's because I'm so used to low-budget horror films, but I was able to look past the technical imperfections. The star here is the storytelling, especially when it comes to jumping between Adam and Nicholas. Both quests are different and gripping in their own unique ways, and there are moments throughout the game that'll continue to haunt my nightmares for years to come. The Beast Inside is a well-made game with a lot of genuinely effective scares, as well as a few cheap ones. By jumping between 1979 and 1867, The Beast Inside is able to weave a compelling story that you won't soon forget. This is a first-person horror game with a lot going for it, including a bunch of different play styles, all kinds of cool locations, challenging puzzles, and lots of gore. Some of this is frustratingly marred by technical problems and a few predictable twists, but the well-written story and multiple endings help make up for that. Who knew that the Cold War was this scary? Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. In fact, we have a playlist with almost 600 reviews, so go ahead and check that out. Now here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite scary game? Also, do you plan on playing anything spooky this Halloween? Let me know in the comments below. In other news, I'm still working through a huge stack of reviews, so look forward to that tomorrow, next week, and for a long time to come. Unless, of course, I get hit by a car, and I sure hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.